This is the Potomac Local News Podcast, where we bring you the latest on what's happening in your community from Fredericksburg, Manassas, and Woodbridge. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to get more Potomac Local news, and check us daily at potomaclocal.com for breaking news, community updates, and fun events around town. Now, here's your host, Potomac Local News founder and publisher, Uriah Kiser.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Potomac Local Podcast. I'm your host, Uriah Kiser, founder and publisher of Potomac Local News. Joining us on the podcast today is Lauren Maloy. She is the Historic Communities Coordinator at the Prince William County Division of Historic Preservation. Lauren, thanks for coming on today. You're going to be talking to us about the oral history program that you're working on, trying to preserve some of the history of Prince William County from those who are still around, still remember, still have the ability to talk to us about it. So talk to me about the project and what you're working on.
Great. So our oral history program for the Office of Historic Preservation, we've been around for over 20 years, and we have done oral histories during that whole time frame. So oral histories is just collecting audio transcripts so that are then transcribed into physical transcripts of people's memories about the communities they lived in, their experiences in Prince William County. And we then store those transcripts and then also give them to Relic, which is, of course, at the library, Prince William County Library. But recently, we've had an effort to formalize this program to try to collect more oral histories, identify the areas in which are most in need of collecting these oral histories before it's gone, unfortunately, before these people pass away and those memories are gone. And we are working off of a list that was created by Sharon Pandak, who was a county attorney for Prince William County. So primarily in the past few years, we've been working on collecting experiences of those who were influential in Prince William County local government and getting their perspective on the things that happened and that really shaped what the county is today. And we're putting those on our website as well and just talking to a few of these influential individuals. And then we're also in the process of identifying other communities, other areas that are in need of really us going in and collecting these memories.
Now, it wasn't that long ago that Prince William County was mostly farmland. It's very rural. And I remember talking with a gentleman who was doing one of these oral histories, and I had them on, and this was 8 years ago. And he was telling me about how Smoketown Road in Woodbridge was just all farmland, and how he was talking about how they had to run telephone poles out there for the first time. It may have been on his farm to get a telephone out to that area. And so when you talk about these oral histories, so many stories, and I know they all can vary. What are you particularly looking for? What are you interested in when you're going out and looking for these histories?
I think it depends on the type of oral histories we're collecting. So again, when we're looking at, so for instance, for the government project, for lack of a better term, when we're identifying those individuals, we spoke to Kathleen Seafelt, who was a former board chair for the Prince William County Board of Supervisors, Paul Ebert, who was a Commonwealth attorney for over 5 decades. And they experienced some pretty amazing things in our county's history and really Virginia's history, and really shaped, again, who the county or what the county is today. So in those instances, we're trying to ask them about specific cases and with Paul Ebert or different things. Disney was a big thing that comes up quite a bit when we're talking to Kathleen Seafelt, and just trying to record their perspective. Now that they're no longer in these positions, they can be a little more free and talk about what it was like for them. I think, go ahead.
So I'll clue everyone in as the news guy, right? Back in 1993-94, Disney actually wanted to build a park called Disney's America out in Haymarket, just outside of Haymarket in what today is Dominion Valley. It's a housing development now. And Prince William County told them to pack sand, go away. We don't want Disney here. It was a big debate. It lasted over the course of several years. And it sounds like Seafelt, who the Prince William Parkway is actually a portion of Prince William Parkway is named after, was on the board at that time. And so that was a big controversy. And you talk about former Commonwealth Attorney Paul Ebert. I mean, not only did we have the Lorena Bobbitt case that happened about the same time Disney wanted to come here and do that back in 1993. We had the sniper case here as well, and Paul Ebert actually prosecuted one of the snipers. So just so if that's not history, I don't know what is. I mean, there's a lot there, and what you just said, and so are you talking to so you are talking to government people who have served in the government and represented residents of Prince William County? Are you looking for any other types of stories? Are you looking for people who may have been in business? Are you looking for nonprofit people who served the community, maybe worked with the homeless or provided food or something like that? What other perspectives are you looking for?
Absolutely. So on that same list, it's really all levels of government. So we did talk to Kathleen Seafelt, but we also just spoke to Eileen Thrall, who's a local here. She lives very close to Dumfries, and she was influential in government, but she was on the Board of Zoning Appeals. And if you were to ask her, she would say that she wasn't the same level as Kathleen Seafelt, but just a different perspective. And Bob Noe, who's a former county executive. So kind of trying to get all aspects of this Prince William County government from the past few decades. But I would say, expanding this program, we're not only looking for those individuals, but individuals who have unique experiences or memories of communities that are changing rapidly. You mentioned, kind of farmland turning into cities, and Prince William County is, of course, experienced a great deal of change even now. And so we're trying to capture those experiences, remembrances of these areas as rural areas. Specifically, we just did or assisted with an oral history project in Thoroughfare, which is, of course, in the news quite a bit. But we also worked with the settlement community. That wasn't our office specifically, but we're helping to manage the end of that project. We spoke yesterday to people from the town of Haymarket, and they want to help, record experiences there. So we are trying to find ways to formalize this and really get, everyday people's memories of what their communities were like, their perspectives on how they're changing, and just recording those memories for posterity.
And Thoroughfare, for those who don't know, it's in western Prince William County, near Haymarket, and it was one of the first settled Black communities after the Civil War, and so that's what makes it historic. And you're right, it has been in the news. When you're doing these interviews and producing these transcripts, what surprises you most when you hear these stories about the Prince William County and the way it used to be? I mean, just back in as late as 2000, the county had population, around 250,000, maybe more. It is now 25 years later, we're pushing, we're over half a million. I'm sorry, over half a million people. So the population has just about doubled in 25 years, and that's a big change. So what surprises you most?
Well, I mean, that's a common theme, right? Just the obvious growth in the county, and how that has completely changed everything, every aspect of life. I do think interviewing some of these individuals, one of the common themes that's come through, and I think with the exception of your publication, they talk about how, the Washington Post used to have daily coverage of what was going on in Prince William County at our local level, and really brought people's eyes to it, and, made people feel like they were involved. And it's been mentioned multiple times in these interviews how that coverage just isn't there anymore. And so, of course, your publication is filling that need, but it's just, it's interesting how that was seen as so influential and really important to people feeling a part of Prince William County, and, that they mattered and that they knew what was going on, and that's really not there anymore. So we've grown in so many ways, but we've also lost some of that important perspective.
And I'll chime in on that sort of the news thing. We also had a daily newspaper, actually two of them, called one was the Manassas Journal Messenger, and I believe it was founded in 1857, and it was the local newspaper for Prince William County. And then as the eastern end of Prince William County grew in Woodbridge, and as 95 was built and population started to surge, in 1957, the Potomac News was founded, and those two independent local newspapers newspapers operated, through the years. When I was a kid, I used to chuck the Potomac News into driveways where I grew up in my Dale City neighborhood. And I believe it was about 2000 that those two newspapers were bought by the same company, and so they still printed the Potomac News in Woodbridge right across from Potomac Mills Mall. I believe its first office, however, was in Dumfries when it was founded. And Eileen Thrall, who you mentioned, knew, I believe it was Paul Muse was the publisher of Potomac News. She knew him well. I've been to Eileen's house on the water there. It's a wonderful place. And so in 2000, the Journal Messenger, or JM, and the Potomac News became one. And then in 2008, they renamed the paper the News and Messenger. And they started printing it in Woodbridge. They closed the press in Manassas and started printing the paper in Woodbridge. And unfortunately, as time went on, they eventually closed the press in Woodbridge and started printing the local paper in Richmond and trucking it up to Woodbridge every night. And it would get distributed from the back of a flatbed truck to the carriers. And eventually, they went with the way of the dodo by 2012. And so you're absolutely right. And to talk about the Post, they also had an office in the city of Manassas, and they would do local coverage back when the Post was a local sort of newspaper. Over the years, especially since Jeff Bezos has bought them, has been doing more to compete with the New York Times and so other national newspapers. And so you're right that local coverage no longer exists in the Post, and obviously those two daily newspapers, the Journal Messenger, Potomac News, no longer exist. So as I started Potomac Local News 15 years ago, and even to this day, you're right, we're still hearing that. We still would love to have more local news in the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely a common theme in these interviews. Seafold mentioned it, but Paul Ebert did, and usually at the conclusion of their interviews. And I will note that we have not transcribed all of them, and that's something I would love to ask for help with. But you can read specifically Seafeld's and Ebert's recollections. They're posted online on the Historic Preservation website. So you can read all about their perspectives on these various events and what they think about the future of Prince William County as well.
As we wrap up here, how can people get involved? How can they support what you're doing and maybe, come up with, I know somebody who might be willing to talk to you and share their story that goes back, 50, 60, 70 years here in the county. How could people get involved?
Well, I would love to share my contact information with you maybe after this. And we would love to have people reach out to us and with ideas, again, of people that they would like to interview, ideas that they have, communities that they would like to document that they think, are important for us to preserve here. And we also are in need of qualified volunteers. And so perhaps in the future, maybe helping us to collect these oral histories. But really now the greatest need is helping us to transcribe them and making sure those are accurate and annotated. So we like to include, links to where you can find more information. And we would love more assistance with that as we grow this program and really try to capture as much as we can, again, before some of these individuals pass away and before these memories are lost. So we would love to have more community involvement with suggestions, but actually helping us gather and transcribe these oral histories.
Lauren Maloy is the Historic Communities Coordinator at the Prince William County Office of Historic Preservation. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today on the Potomac Local News Podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.